السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني يحببكم الله ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم. صدق الله العظيم. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا سيدي يا حبيب الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. One day the Quraysh, they gathered together, the kuffar of Makkah, and they made a plan. वो क्या कहते हैं कि हमने कई मौजिज़ा देखे हैं. We have seen many miracles. लेकिन आज हम रसूल पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम से ऐसी मौजिज़ा तलब करेंगे. We will ask him for such a miracle which he will not be able to perform. हम क्या कहेंगे? We will say that we want you to split the moon into two parts. तो जब ये प्लान बनाया तो कुरैश हाजिर हुए. They said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, हम इस्लाम कबूल करने के लिए तैयार हैं. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was happy. They said, लेकिन सिर्फ एक शर्त है, just one condition. ये जो चांद है, this moon, split it into two pieces, and then we will accept this religion. तो Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ने फरमाया, समझाया that nothing happens without the qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing happens without the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And thereafter, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he raised his hands. He made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And after making dua, chand se ishara kiya, and the moon is split into two parts. और इतने साफ साफ नजर आया, it was completely clear that एक टुकड़ा, one part was above Mount Abu Qubais and one part was above Mount Qu'ayqian. अब कुरैश हैरान है कि ये शख्स जो हम के यानी he stood right in front of us, हम हमारे बिल्कुल करीब खड़े हैं, and this person, he points at the moon and he splits into two parts. They were bewildered. They didn't know what to say. Then at that point, one of the wretched individuals, उसने कहा कि ये तो सिर्फ जादू है, हमारे आंखों पर सिहर किया है. He has done magic upon our eyes. And we will ask the people in the vicinity, जो लोग करीब है, उनसे पूछेंगे क्या तुमने भी ऐसा देखा है. Later when they asked, तो मालूम हुआ कि उन्होंने भी ये मौजिज़ा को देखा. They saw the same miracle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. अब सवाल पैदा होता है ना कि if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam split the moon into two parts, then why don't we have reports from Australia? Why don't we have reports from America? ये सवाल भी पैदा होता है ना. लेकिन अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हमारे मदरसा में we give the students answers to these questions, so they shouldn't have to go out looking for these questions. The answer is very simple. Right now is night time here. In another part of the world it'll be morning time, and when it's morning time here, in another part of the world is night time. So just because we can see the moon here doesn't mean you can see the moon everywhere in the world. This is first point. Number two, जब रात का वक्त होता है तो लोग बाहर होते हैं या अंदर होते हैं. They be inside the house, they be sleeping, right? Most of the people are sleeping, and if you are inside the house at night time, you can't see the moon. Now if you are outside, it's not necessary that you can see the moon. There might be clouds in the sky. This is another point. And then even if you are outside, it's not that you're staring in the sky all the time. Or हमने कब कहा, when did we say that this happened for 2-3 hours at a time? It happened for a few minutes. So for this reason, you will not have reports on such a scale where every single person will have seen this mu'jiza. Lekin phir bhi, even after this, many hundreds of people, they narrated that they saw this mu'jiza. Many people, they narrated that they saw this mu'jiza. Yahan tak ke, when the Quraysh, they went into Makkah, और मालूम हुआ that the people of Makkah, they saw this mu'jiza. तो कहा कि शायद इन पर भी सिहर किया है. तो फिर क्या किया? The people who were coming from other places, यमन से आ रहे थे, शाम से आ रहे थे, उनसे भी पूछा, did you see this? उन्होंने कहा कि हमने भी देखा, we saw this as well. यहाँ तक कि इब्न असीर फरमाते हैं in his तारीख that even people in now, which is India, Pakistan, the subcontinent, people even there they saw this miracle. क्योंकि जब अरब में रात का वक्त होता है तो वहाँ भी रात होती है ना. यहाँ तक कि अगर आप लंदन जाएंगे, there is a library called the India Office Library. हम वहाँ we have taken manuscripts from there as well. In the India Office Library there is a manuscript जिसमें लिखा है that there's a place in the subcontinent. There was a king whose name was Chakravati Farmas. He saw this miracle. उसने देखा कि चांद दो टुकड़े हुए हैं. And there was Christians who used to live in this area. So they knew about the coming of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. तो जब तलब किया, when he asked them, what is this? तो फरमाया कि आखिरी नबी मक्कतुल मुकर्रमा यानी अरब में वो, he has presented himself. So he left his son as a representative. He said, you will be in charge. और वहाँ से निकले. He went, he found Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam और Islam कबूल किया. This is well known in these parts. This story is well known and is mentioned in this manuscript as well. And as he was coming back, he got to Zafar in Yemen. He passed away, and this is where his mazar was. And people for many, many years, they used to visit the mazar of this king. So this mu'jiza is very, very well known. लेकिन आप पूछेंगे आखिर इतने मुआजिज़ात उन्होंने देखे, they saw this many miracles, why did they not accept the message? So it's what I said to you yesterday. Yani these people, they were so fixed in their ways, they were so misguided, they didn't want to leave. अब आप कहेंगे फिर भी यानी this doesn't make sense to me. So the answer is very simple. You know, today ulama, they come and they say to you कि ये जो आप काम कर रहे हैं ये गलत है, शरीयत के खिलाफ है. तो आप कहते हैं लेकिन हमारा कल्चर है, this is our culture, we cannot leave this thing. So if you are saying this, then think if you lived in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what would you say? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would say to you, this is wrong. You would say, our grandparents did this, our great-grandparents, why should we leave it? So today we see the same thing happening as well. When the ulama, they say, ये जो सारे रिवाज है, शरीयत के खिलाफ है, उनको छोड़ो, तो लोग कहते हैं कि लेकिन ये हमारा culture है, this is our culture. So this is the sad reality, my dear brothers. We should contemplate, हमको सोचना चाहिए. If we lived in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, would we have even accepted the message? ये Allah का एहसान है that we were born as Muslims. वरना Allah को बेहतर मालूम होता है exactly what our position would be. So something for us to contemplate, our dear brothers. Another miracle which I'd like to mention, which happened around this time, Makkatul Mukarramah mein, there was this one very famous wrestler. His name was Rukana bin Yazid. He had never been defeated. He had never lost to anyone. He was very, very strong. Now Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he wanted people to accept Islam. So he used to try and use different ways, ways that people could understand. You have to speak to people according to their level of understanding. तो जब रुकाना से मुलाकात हुई मक्कतुल मुकर्रमा के बाहर, कहा कि इस्लाम कबूल कर. He said, give me a reason to accept Islam. He says, all of these things I do not understand. What I understand is wrestling. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ne farmaya, let us wrestle then. If I win, you have to accept Islam. So he goes, this is fine. Because he knew he's never been defeated. How can this person defeat me? And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam he was not known as a wrestler, he had never wrestled in his life. To tayyar hue, and is mentioned in the books of Seerah, in one move Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam threw him onto the ground. And he was completely confused. He didn't even know what to say. He thought maybe, something had happened, maybe he had slipped or something like this. He said, one more time. And again, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in one move, he threw him back onto the ground. Now, what did Rukana say? The same thing. He goes, it must be some jadoo, sihr, magic, something like this. उसने उस वक्त इस्लाम कबूल नहीं किया. लेकिन जब फतह मक्का हुई तो फिर उसने इस्लाम कबूल किया. He lived all the way till the time of Sayyidina Muawiyah radiyallahu ta'ala an. Yani, ulama ne farmaya, without the spiritual strength, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the physical body of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam in such a way that it was equivalent to 40 admi, 40 men. This is the power of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Now we move forward. As you know, yesterday we mentioned in regards to the exile from Makkah al-Mukarramah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is now 49 years of age. After the contract was removed, 8 months and 21 days, an illness had started spreading in Makkah al-Mukarramah. And the uncle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Talib, he was very ill. और लोगों ने पहचान लिया कि अब these are the final days, आखिरी दिन for Abu Talib. It was in the month of Ramadan. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he presented himself to Abu Talib. And he said, my uncle, recite the kalima. If you recite the kalima, I will be able to help you on the day of judgment. I will do your shafa'ah on the day of judgment. Abu Talib ne kaha कि अगरचे मैंने कलमा पढ़ लिया, लोग कहेंगे because you are very old, उसकी उम्र हो चुकी है, and for this reason he's prayed the kalima, yani he didn't mean it. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at that time he left him. But whenever he would get an opportunity, he would say to Abu Talib, oh my uncle, recite the kalima, accept Islam. Now Abu Lahab, Abu Jahl, in लोगों ने जब मालूम हो चुका, when they found out that Abu Talib is in his last moments and that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was trying to bring him to Islam, they began to go and the numbers started to increase bit by bit, and they would surround Abu Talib and they would say, think about your family, think about your kabila, your tribe, think about this. And all of like this, they would whisper into his ears. They say, will you abandon the religion of your forefathers? What will the people say? Log kya kahenge? Right? And so like this, in the end, Abu Talib, the correct position and the majority position is that Abu Talib, he left from this world without accepting Islam. And they say there were two reasons. The first one was because of what these people had said. And the second reason, you know, Abu Talib ne kya kaha? He said, अगर मैंने इस्लाम कबूल किया तो ये शहर की जो औरतें हैं वो लोग क्या कहेंगे? What will they say? And this is a lesson for us, my dear brothers. जब हम नेक काम करने जाते हैं तो हम क्या कहते हैं? लोग क्या कहेंगे? नमाज पढ़ना शुरू कर दिया. People will say, I used to do this, I used to do this. अब मैं नमाज पढ़ना. I started praying namaz. When we want to start reading Quran in the masjid, we'll say, oh, people will say this. जब हम नेक काम करते हैं तो ये नहीं देखना चाहिए कि लोग क्या कहेंगे. We shouldn't look, who cares what they say? You have changed, you want to stop praying namaz, you want to start doing this, leave that aside. When you're doing a bad action, then you should think, what are people going to say? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ने फरमाया कि जिसके पास शर्म नहीं होती है, he who does not have shame, then he can do whatever he wants. वो जो करे, वो जो चाहे करे. Yani this was a threat. This was a threat from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He who has no shame, he should get ready for Jahannam. So unfortunately, Abu Talib, he left from this world, and a lot of the scholars, they said he did not accept Islam. However, before he left this world, he whispered something into the ear of Sayyidina Abbas radiallahu ta'ala. So Sayyidina Abbas, he went to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and he said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, before he passed away, Abu Talib, he recited the kalima. तो अब इसमें इख्तिलाफ हो गया. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ने फरमाया कि मैंने नहीं सुना. I did not hear him recite the kalima. तो Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ने दुआए मग़फ़िरत करना शुरू किया. He began to make dua of forgiveness for Abu Talib. इतने में Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ने एक आयत नाजिल की. He revealed the verse. ما كان للنبي والذين آمنوا أن يستغفروا للمشركين ولو كانوا أولي قربى من بعد ما تبين لهم أنهم أصحاب الجحيم. Yani ye sahi nahi hai. It is not good that the Prophet and those who believe, they ask for forgiveness for the mushriks, for the idol worshippers, even if they are close family. तो इससे मालूम हुआ जो कुफर पर इंतकाल कर गए उनके लिए कोई दुआए मग़फ़िरत नहीं है. You are not allowed to make dua of forgiveness for them. Yani there is difference of opinion. Some of the ulama, the majority said he left without iman. Some of them, they said that he did accept Islam. Allah knows best the situation of Abu Talib. Now, after this, just 3 days after this, on the 10th of Muharram, the wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sayyidah Khadijatul Kubra radiyallahu ta'ala anha, she also left from this world. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Yani in such a short period of time, Abu Talib, who was the support of Rasulullah outside of his house for 42 years, he spent with Abu Talib. And Abu Talib had protected him. Abu Talib had nurtured him. Abu Talib had done so much for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he had left from this world. And that person who was the support inside the house, who had sacrificed everything, wealth and position and everything at the feet of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who had given so much generosity, she could have lived her life in luxury. She had everything. She had money, she had wealth, she had fame, she had izzat, but she sacrificed everything at the feet of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this individual, Sayyidah Khadija radiallahu ta'ala and al-Mu'mineen, the mother of the believers, she left this world after 25 years of marriage with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with his own hands, he buried Sayyidah Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha in Makkatul Mukarramah in Jannatul Mu'alla. And this is where she is buried even today. So you can imagine the position of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at this time. He was going through a lot of difficulty. 4 daughters, all of them had lost their mother, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew what it's like to lose your parents at a young age. So he started spending a lot of time with them at this point. And at this time, 2 major incidents happened which I'd like to mention before I come to the final point, which is the mission to Ta'if. 2 points which happened with Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq. Because Abu Talib had left this world, the Quraysh, they began to oppress the Muslims even more now. Yani bahut zulm kiya. So Abu Bakr, he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam और फरमाया, या Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, मुझको हिजरत करने की इजाज़त दो. जो मुसलमान हबशा चले गए हैं, I wish to go somewhere where I can worship in peace. मैं आराम से अल्लाह की इबादत करूँ, कोई मुझको तकलीफ न दे, मैं ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह कह सकूँ. You know, I want to worship Allah. These people, they keep hurting us and oppressing us and so on and so forth. Give me the ijazat. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ने उसको इजाज़त दी. अभी वो मक्कतुल मुकर्रमा से निकले कि इब्न गुन्ना से मुलाकात हुई. Ibn Ghunna ne kaha, he was a very respected person in Makkatul Mukarramah. He was very honored. People used to love him and respect him. Kaha ke, where are you going, Abu Bakr? He said, I need to go from here. Ye log mujhko ibadat karne nahi dete hai. Did not let me worship. They said, Are you are the crown of the Quraysh. You feed the poor, you support everyone, you're so generous. We will let you go from Makkatul Mukarramah. Ye mumkin nahi hai. It cannot be. You can't leave from Makkatul Mukarramah. Come. Haath se pakra. He took him back into the haram. He said, listen, Abu Bakr is under my protection. No one will hurt him. No one will harm him. The people, they came. They said, that is fine. Lekin, tell him, कि अगर कुरान की तिलावत करनी है, तो वो घर में करे. This is how scared they were. They were scared of the Quran. क्योंकि उनको मालूम था कि अगर लोग कुरान सुनेंगे, तो वो इस्लाम कबूल करेंगे. If he wants to recite the Quran, make him recite it in his house. Abu Bakr वो चले, घर में तिलावत करते थे, लेकिन सोचा that I am worshipping Allah who is the true Lord. The true Lord, I am worshipping him in my house. और वो लोग खुले हुए शिर्क कर रहे हैं. So what he did was he made a balcony in his house. So he was still inside of his house. और फज्र के वक्त नमाज के लिए वो खड़े हो जाते और कुरान की तिलावत करते. First day, one person passed by, Quran को सुना, वो खड़े होकर सुनने लगे. The next day, 2 people. And then slowly, a full crowd of people, they stood outside of the house of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, all of them with tears in their eyes. And the people, when they realized this, they go running to Ibn Ghunna. They said, we had a deal. Go to Abu Bakr and tell him, go inside of his house. We fear that the women and their children, they will accept Islam if he keeps doing this. Ibn Ghunna, he went to Abu Bakr. He said, Abu Bakr, your people, they are fighting with me. You need to go back into your house. You can't pray Quran outside. Otherwise, I will have to remove my protection. Abu Bakr, he thought, he says, what is need for your protection? What is need for your protection? Go take your protection. I have the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we learn another important lesson here, my dear brothers. From the beginning, the kuffar, they were scared of the Quran. Pehle se hi, they used to move people away from the Quran. Whenever people were going towards the majalis of the Quran, aapko malum hai wo kya karte the? They used to have gatherings of music and women. Now today, after the month of Ramadan, when you get into your car, ask yourself, what are you going to turn on? If your answer is the Quran, then this is a very good answer. If your answer is music, that means you have fallen into the trap of the shaitan. From the beginning, they use music to take people away from the Quran. हमारे असातिज़ा कहा कहते थे, they used to say this, a person can have one of two loves in his heart. Either he will have the love of music in his heart, or he will have the love of the Quran in his heart. So my dear brothers, we need to get rid of this practice of music. Right? If we're listening to music, we are removing from our hearts the love of the Quran. So ask yourself this question, and after the month of Ramadan, when you sit in your car, what you should be listening to is none other than the recitation of the Quran, insha'Allah ta'ala. Moving forward, another incident happened. At this time, there were two superpowers. One was the Romans, the Byzantines, and one was the Persians, जो फारिस के लोग थे. अब कुरैश किसकी support करते थे? Who did they used to support? The Persians. Why? क्योंकि वो भी मुश्रिक थे ना. They used to worship fire. और ये लोग बुत को पुरस्ते थे. They used to worship idols. So when the Persians defeated the Byzantines, the Quraysh, they came to the Muslims with big smiles on their face. They said, देखा हमारे लोग ने क्या किया? Our people have defeated your people. क्योंकि the Byzantines, the Romans, ये अहले किताब थे. They were following the book. So they said, look, our people have defeated your people, and just like they have defeated your people, soon we will defeat you as well. We will wipe you off the face of the earth. Now what was happening, it looked like the Byzantines were finished, the Romans were finished. They were not going to come back. They were not going to be able to regroup. तो सैयदना अबू बकर सिद्दीक़ रज़ियल्लाहु ताला अन्हु, सूरह रूम की जो इब्तिदाई आयत है वो नाजिल हुई, और इसमें अल्लाह सुब्हानहु व तआला ने फरमाया गुलिबति रूम, Rome has been defeated, but very soon Rome will defeat the Persians. And using this as a metaphor, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained to the Muslims, you too will be successful very, very soon. आप भी कामयाब होंगे अनकरीब. तो अब क्या हुआ? तो mushriks, they came. They said, seriously, you actually believe this? Your Quran, your Lord is telling you that the Romans are going to be successful. They've just been defeated. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, he was a very firm Muslim. He said, yes, they will. They said, okay, put your money where your mouth is. Is waqt, at this time, gambling was not haram. Jua khelna, ye is waqt pe haram nahi tha. He said, that's fine. Let's place a bet. Very soon, the Romans will defeat the Persians. They said, that's fine. What's the bet? 10 camels. That's fine. He went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ne farmaya, you said 6 years. लेकिन जो अल्फाज कुरान पाक में आया है वो बिद'i सिनीन. और बिद का माना है up to 10 years. Up to 10 years. Go back. Say to them, 9 years. In 9 years, the Romans will defeat the Persians, and not 10 camels. Increase the bet. Increase it. So Abu Bakr Siddiq, he went back, he changed it, and he increased it to 100 camels. Ab aap jaan le 100 camels, if one camel is 1,000 pounds, you can imagine how much money this is. And exactly as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, after some years, roughly about 9 years exactly, if I'm not mistaken, the Romans, the Byzantines, they defeated the Persians, and the person who had made the bet, he had passed away, but his family, they had to make out the payment to the Muslims. So this shows the truthfulness of the Quran. You know, agar koi jhootha aadmi hota na, he wouldn't make these prophecies because it's too risky. How can you make these prophecies? But this was the Quran Kareem, right? The truthfulness of the Quran. So these two incidents happened as well. The reason why it was called Amul Hazn was because Sayyidah Khadija passed away and Abu Talib passed away, but another major incident happened as well. And I'm going to finish with this, but it's a very, very important thing. Because the people of Makkah were not accepting Islam, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ne, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ne hukum farmaya that go to Ta'if, which was another major city in Arabia. Very, very wealthy people. It was 60 miles southeast of Makkatul Mukarramah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was ordered to go there and to preach Islam. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went there were 3 main leaders in that city. One was Abdu Yalil, one was Mas'ud, and one was Habib. He invited them to Islam. Now these people, not only did they not accept Islam, they began to mock Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Mazak Qurani lagi. They began to make fun of him. They said, really, they've revealed the Quran upon you? They started saying things like this. And then after this, as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was leaving from the city of Ta'if, He stayed there roughly for about a month, preaching the message. After, when none of them accepted Rasulullah, he began to leave. These people, they sent, the gangsters and the thugs and the children, they made them line up outside, they say roughly for something like 3 kilometers. And as Rasulullah was leaving the city of Ta'if, they began to throw rubbish on Rasulullah. They began to throw insults and abuse, gali bolne lage. And then they began to throw stones at Rasulullah. Sayyidina Zayd ibn Haritha, the adopted son of Rasulullah, unhone badi koshish ki. He tried a lot, lekin wo bhi zakhmi hue. He was covered in blood. And Rasulullah, he was hurt so much. He was hurt so much that his na'alain, his sandals, they were filled with blood. Khoon se bhare hue the. When Rasulullah was in too much pain, he sat down. Lekin ye log itne khabees the, they were so evil. They would lift Rasulullah up and then they would push him forward. And then again they would begin to hit Rasulullah. My dear brothers, ye Islam jo hai na, that has come to us, it has not come to us easy, my dear brothers. We treat it like it's nothing. We treat Islam like it's nothing. But it came to us through so much difficulty. Rasulullah made so much sacrifice. Now Rasulullah eventually, when he left from this place, he took refuge in a garden. The garden belonged to Utbah bin Rabi'ah. We've mentioned him before. When he saw this, he felt some sympathy as well. He sent some grapes to Rasulullah with his servant Addas. Addas, he was a Christian. He was from a place near Iraq. He presented the grapes to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah ne jab khana shuru kiya, then he recited Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. He was confused. He goes, yaha to koi aise alfaz nahi padte hai. No one prays these kinds of things. Where are you from? Who are you? So Rasulullah ne pucha, where are you from? He said, I am from Nineveh, jo Iraq ke kareeb hai. So Rasulullah ne farmaya, yes, this is the city of Sayyidina Yusun bin Matta alayhi salam. So usne kaha, how do you know about Yunus? You shouldn't know about these things. How do you know? So Rasulullah ne farmaya, huwa nabiyyun wa ana nabiyyun. Wo bhi nabi the aur main bhi nabi hu. So jab usne ye alfaz sune, when he realized this, immediately he began to kiss the hands and the feet of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, aur usi waqt usne Islam qabul kiya. Now, what's the wisdom behind this? Why did Allah make this happen? The people of Sayyidina Yunus alayhi salam, aapko malum hoga, wo bhi shirk karte the. They used to commit shirk as well. Jab unhone Islam qabul nahi kiya, to Sayyidina Yunus alayhi salam ne kya kiya? He left. Wahan se nikal gaye. Jab in logon ne dekha कि यूनुस अलैहिस्सलाम he has left, तो अब मालूम हो गया कि अज़ाब आने वाला है, तो सब लोगों ने तौबा की. They all repented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. फिर सैयदना यूनुस अलैहिस्सलाम के साथ वो वाक़या हुआ, when he was eaten by the whale, he was swallowed by the whale, and then he came out and he returned back to his people. So him meeting this person Addas, it was to remind him that Sayyidina Yunus alayhi he thought there was no chance, but the people, they turned back to Islam. So in the same way, Rasulullah he should wait, insha'Allah ta'ala, the people would accept Islam. At this time, around the same time, Rasulullah he was visited by Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam and the angel who was in charge of the mountains. And they said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, ye log ne jo aaj kiya hai, wo had se bar gaye hai. They've gone too far. Ya Rasulullah, aap hukam de, just give the command. And these people of Ta'if, the angel of the mountain, he will crush them between. Sabko halak kar denge. Aap hukam farmaye. Rasulullah, look at the mercy of Rasulullah. Rasulullah said, no. Ye logon ne Islam qabul nahi kiya. Lekin unke awlad mein se aise log paida honge. Children will be born from them who will accept Islam. At that time, the angel of the mountains, you know what he said? He said, this is why you are rahmatul lil alameen. This is why Allah gave you the title, mercy unto all of the worlds. Right? Now, Rasulullah was right. He was 100% correct, because the people of Ta'if, later on, they all accepted Islam. Not only this, As bin Wa'il, his son, Sayyidina Amr ibn al-As, he accepted Islam. As bin Wa'il was a big kafir. He used to mock Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now another person, Walid bin Mughira, you know who his son was? Sayyidina Khalid ibn Walid radiallahu. He accepted Islam. Abu Jahl, his son Ikrama, he accepted Islam as well. Yani, look at this, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from filth, from impurity, He brought out so much goodness. So this is why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had patience with them, because he knew, shayad ye log Islam nahi kabul karenge. Lekin unke bacche mein se, from their children, many of them, they will accept Islam, and this is exactly what happened. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he reached Maqam al-Nakhla, 7 jinn from Nasibin, they accepted Islam. They went back and they spread Islam in Nasibin. This is mentioned in Surah Jinn, how the jinn accepted Islam as well. And later Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he returned back to the city of Makkah al-Mukarramah. After some time, Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa radiyallahu ta'ala anha ne pucha, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, koi din aisa bhi hai jo jang-e Uhud se sakht tha? Was there any din which was more difficult than the battle of Uhud? Because 70 companions were martyred in the battle of Uhud. And even Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was injured in the battle of Uhud. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ne farmaya, yes, there was a day which was even more difficult than the day of Uhud. And that was the day when I went to Ta'if and I invited the people to Islam. And instead of accepting Islam, they showered stones upon me. They threw stones upon me. Yes. And the angels came to me and they asked me if they should be destroyed. But at that point, I did not allow the angels to destroy this city. So this was the year of sorrow, Amul Huzn, inshaAllah ta'ala. Tomorrow we will continue. Remember, you know there's a saying in English, the night is darkest before the dawn. Right? The night is darkest before the dawn. So Rasulullah went through all of this difficulty, and then after this, what happened? The night of Mi'raj, the gift of Mi'raj. When Rasulullah saw Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with his own eyes. So remember the verse of the Quran, Inna ma'al usri yusran, fa inna ma'al usri yusra. With difficulty is ease, verily with difficulty is ease. This is why Imam Nawawi farmate hai कि जब the Salaf, जब कोई मुश्किल पेश आती थी, do you know what they would say? They would say, may the difficulty become even more difficult. Because whenever a difficulty comes, then after it, ease follows. Yes. After the difficulty, then ease follows. So we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with His infinite mercy forgive us for all our major and minor sins. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase us in sabr and patience. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to value this religion of Islam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to follow firmly upon this religion. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to follow the footsteps of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khayri khalqihi wa nuri arshi sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahim.